Peter, we are in what's going to be our location that we're going to have our seed beds in for the 2024-25 onion crop.
So this is the same field that the video before with all the cover crop. This
That's
is
right.
the cover crop.
That's right.
So the cover crop is underneath this. It's been all chopped up underneath the soil?
It's been chopped up. It's been disked in. You can actually see a little bit of the cover crop still left that's breaking down. It eventually start to feed or continue to feed in biology. What we've done is we've actually had to come in and we take, because of the value of the crop and the insurance methods we have to take as far as just making sure that we can provide a good sterile environment for the seed to germinate against kind of what we want to do all the time. We have to come in and treat this soil to try to sterilize it in the surface that we're going to plant the seed at. So what we've been trying to do is play with the depth of the treatment to try to see just how deep we have to go to be able to give us that environment for that seed to be able to germinate easily and to not have as much competition from weed pressure. Again, onions grow slow, so weed pressure is something we're always facing. Weeds, if as you can see, we treated this and you can already see some of the weeds coming through that have gotten past the sterilization that we do. And so, of course, this is not a concern of ours right now, because what we're going to do is we'll come in when we get ready to plant this and we will disturb this dirt and make a new bed. Yeah. But again, what I'm trying to do is try to figure out and test, basically just imagine a cake that's a layered cake. So the top layer is where I'm planting the seed, where the icing is. And so what I'm trying to do is figure out how deep is each layer affected by this treatment that we're having to do, and then where is it not affected, so that I can see what biology is there and see what biology that I can keep alive during this process, and to see, basically, when I plant the onions, how can I get that biology back to the surface as quick as possible? It's just a game that we're having to play as we go down this rabbit hole of really trying to focus on our soil biology now.
And regenerative aspects.
And regenerative aspects, yep.
Yeah. So is this a new procedure that you're using for the first time this year?
I don't know. I wouldn't say, it's hard to. I'm not going to say it's a new procedure because I don't know what other people do. Okay. I know it's a new procedure on our farm.
Oh, interesting.
It's something that, most folks in the regenerative world that I listen to, that I try to follow, they'll kind of tell you that onions and potatoes and carrots are very difficult crops to kind of go down this road with, because of the intensive tillage that we're all so used to doing, because of the long growing cycles of the crops. Yep. With onions being such a long cycle, one of the reasons we plant our onions in a seed bed is to basically give us a head start against weeds when we get ready to transplant. Yeah. So these seeds, when we plant these, they'll be here for 60 days. And then we'll take them and put them in another field. Well, when we put them in that other field, it's a newly disked field, newly, fine, looks just like this. Yep. The weed pressure is not as bad. So, again, it's just one of the things that we're facing each and every day, is trying to see what it is that we can do to combat the weeds, but also still provide a high quality product, because onions don't like competition with weeds, and they rob the onion from nutrients, from moisture, all the above. Yeah. But also it affects the quality later, because as that weed does get larger and we get rainfall events later in the season, when it rains, it holds the moisture around the onion bulb, which causes it to start rotting. Oh, funny. So we're always just trying to figure out ways to have a clean field. Wow. But in our case, we're trying to have a clean field, but also a highly active, beneficial biology underneath the soil where you're not seeing anything.
Right. How soon will you be planting these seed beds right now? And will they stay in this condition until you plant seed beds?
Yeah, so every day we're watering this field.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Because what it's doing is the treatment is it comes out in a liquid, but then it gases off as it dries off.
Funny.
So what we're doing is we're trying to keep we're trying to keep it in a liquid state and trying to keep the gas down in the barrier in that, let's just say, that icing of the cake or the first layer of that cake as long as we can, so that as weeds begin to germinate, it'll actually pretty much it prevents them from living. It pretty much kills them as the weed germinates.
And that's applied through a tractor or through a pivot?
Yes, it's applied through a tractor. So we've got a new piece of equipment that basically puts it in the soil, seals that soil at that minute that it's placed into the area, the kill zone, I guess you could call it, and it seals the bed immediately. And so the moisture is what holds it in.
Yeah,
and so we, as we're standing here right now, you can smell very faint smells of like an egg, right, or maybe a rotten egg.
Sulfur, yeah.
It's just, sulfuric acid kind of smell, but it's just letting us know, hey, it's gassing off. It's a natural. This is what it does, but it's controlled.
Funny.
Now, if we walked out here and we could smell it and we were crying and we were getting sick, we know we were doing something wrong.
Oh, funny.
But yeah, so you'll see the beds. It'll be just like this. Then the day that we get ready to plant, the only way you'll know that it's different is you'll see the rows where the planter went down.
Yep.
And we'll be filming that and showing that later on. But most likely we're planning on seeding this field the week. I never have a specific date because everything in farming never works out when you start putting a specific date. But so I'm going to say the week of September the 9th through September the 15th, we're going to be kind of planning on getting the first seed in, making sure everything's running right. Just kind of taking our time and making sure it's right.
Yeah. Tell you, the temperature of this field is so wildly different from the last time we were here with the cover crop in.
Yeah.
It is a good 15, 20 degree difference, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's
and you can feel it. You can feel it coming
93,
off the
95.
ground at you. You can feel it reflecting off of you. And again, I would love to see this field green and not weeds, but green with a cover crop growing and pulling nutrients up and doing the whole cycle of everything that we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But it's one of those processes and procedures that it's going to take time for us to figure it out. So,
Beautiful.
that's what we're doing, trying to figure it out. But it's pretty out here. It's nice. It's calm. It's the one time of the year before you plant onions. It's just kind of the peaceful. It's kind of like, okay, it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
But this is also the time of the year you buy all this seed. You spend a lot of money on seed and you put it all in one spot.
Yep.
And anybody that farms long enough, they know what can happen to one field, one major storm event, one little section of a field. I mean, I've seen fields that were, this field is a 30-acre field. I've seen fields that were 50 acres and half of it got destroyed by hail and the other half was fine.
Yeah.
We pray that doesn't happen during this time of the year because if you could tell from the video, from this bed to the road is right at about almost 1,000 feet. So this one bed by itself is going to have about 4 acres worth of onions on it.
Wow.
So just imagine if some kind of storm or something came through and just destroyed this one bed, it would technically get rid of 4 acres worth of onions that we're going to transplant.
Wow.
So if it came through and got these 3 beds, that would be 12 acres gone.
Because we plant those seed beds
so dense and a high population.
We transplant and then have
That's right.
good. Yeah,
That's right.
good
So
distance.
again, it's definitely a stressful time. 60 days of stress.
Yeah.
Trying to get it to that point that we can transplant it.